In the last episode, we began a discussion about feedback by exploring how to seek out the kind of feedback that will help us to grow as leaders. And in this month's episode, we're going to continue that discussion by asking the question, how do we give effective feedback? So, without further ado, a wise woman once told me, "Tim, you're more of a Harley Davidson than a bus." At first I thought it was a compliment, but as it turned out, not so much. She went on, explaining, you go really far, really fast, but you don't take many people with you. I know, right? Shots fired. But here's the thing. The whole of my leadership altered because of that one piece of feedback. I stopped trying to do things as fast as I could and started involving as many people as I could. I stepped away from opportunities that I enjoyed in order to create more opportunities for the people that I lead. My leadership became less about what I could achieve and more about what I could inspire others to achieve. And all because of that one piece of insightful, constructive feedback. Just imagine how comparatively deficient my leadership would be today had she not found the courage to say it as it is. Here's the point. When we shy away from offering regular, thoughtful, and constructive feedback, we actually rob people of the opportunity to grow. And for this reason, the art of learning to give good feedback is a must for every leader who wants to be a launch pad for people to jump off rather than a ceiling they can't break through. But that's easier said than done, right? By its very nature, giving feedback is an inherently delicate matter. The very essence of feedback requires pointing out where people are not doing things so well, and thus requires a considered approach. So how do we give helpful and life-giving feedback? Well, let me share with you 5 keys to giving effective feedback. Number 1 is to build trust. A wise man once told me, trust is the currency of change. And he was right. Before you can expect your feedback to be well received, the person to whom you are giving the feedback must trust you, and they must trust you in 2 ways. First, they must believe that you genuinely have their best interests and personal growth at heart. And second, they must believe that you actually know what you're talking about. So in formulaic terms, demonstrated integrity over time plus demonstrated competency over time equals trust. And much like Rome, trust isn't built in a day. So take time to get to know the people you lead. Take a genuine interest in their lives. Demonstrate your love and care for them, and then you will engender the kind of trust that will permit you to speak into their lives. Secondly, create a culture of encouragement. Here's the key. Never let anyone do anything good without pointing it out. Wherever you see a positive behavior or an extra mile effort or a demonstration of competency, celebrate it, and celebrate it publicly if you can. Point out how great it was and in front of everybody, and be specific with that encouragement. So don't just say, I thought you did really well tonight. Say, I thought you did really well tonight because, and then fill in the blank. See, good feedback, it never starts with what needs to be improved, because continually being told what you need to do better over and over again is exhausting and demotivating. Good feedback thrives in a culture of encouragement. Thirdly, not just what, but how. When the time comes to offer suggestions for change, be careful not only to point out what needs to change. Always ensure that the what is always accompanied by a how. So we don't just say, you need to improve on your youth talks, for example. We say, hey, I think we could work a little on your talk introductions. Why don't you try opening with a funny story or a video instead of going straight into the Bible passage next time? Do you see how that's so different? Feedback without any follow-up is like telling somebody to climb a mountain with no equipment. When we point out an area for improvement, we must ensure we give them the tools they need to make that change. Next, we need to create a culture of accountability. Even when we've built trust and offered encouragement and suggested pathways for improvement, feedback can still be fruitless without this often forgotten principle. It is the leader's responsibility to hold the person to account for the changes they've agreed upon. So, let's say you have a team member who always shows up late, for example. You challenge them on their punctuality and you've agreed steps forward. Then they show up late for the next session. So, like a good leader, you pull them aside and you challenge them on it. They apologize, of course, and turn up late next time. So you tell everybody else. You tell your friends, you tell the other team members, you tell your spouse, you tell your boss, you tell everybody but them. And you know what? I get that. Nobody likes to nag. But without continual, consistent accountability, ingrained behaviors are very unlikely to change. Giving the feedback, it's just the start. Accountability is where the real change takes place. So, remember, when we fail to give feedback, we rob those we lead the opportunity to grow. For most of us, giving effective feedback isn't natural or comfortable, but it is essential. So apply these principles and create a healthy rhythm of giving and receiving feedback in your ministry. But before you go do that, let me say thank you for all you are doing to serve children and young people where you are. I cannot conceive of anything more important that you could give your life to than passing on the gospel to the next generation. So keep going. Don't give up, because what you are doing is important.